Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. So glad you could join our show today. As every day, we love bringing you sports, the Down and Dirty style. So thanks for tuning in. Crazy show today, lots of fun. So we got some fun topics. Of course, the draft is coming up. We've got our buddy Herman Moore. We're going to hang out with him for a bit of time, pick his brain, what brain there is there. No, he's got a good brain. Anyways, we'll talk to him. We got some interesting things happening in the NFL and undersized players. Like they're nitpicking at players, right? His arms are too short. He's only played a certain amount. He's just he doesn't fit the mold. He's unique. He's different. He's odd. We're going to cover all of those players that are oddities. And does it really matter? And maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. And then Martin has a fun game for me. So should be a fun show. But I wanted to start the show off with and I brought this up on the show before with this whole tanking issue in the NBA. And there was an article in ESPN that was just phenomenal. It was just it really it really nailed tanking. But what I found fascinating about it was a discussion with NBA people and how they talk about tanking, and the consensus with everyone, it's like your taxes. Like it's inevitable. You don't really like it, but you live with it and you do it. And that's kind of the attitude that people have had about tanking. And it's almost like they just lifted the curtain and just said, here is kind of what's going on. Now, the Utah Jazz, of course, my team, have been in the tanking mode now for quite some time, and like years. And but there's this whole strategy behind it, and I find it just absolutely fascinating, this strategy, because I and it's smart. It's really smart, and it's kind of like one of those. It's like people at BYU. And if you're not familiar with BYU, they have an honor code, right? And it's a very honorable code, and it's a very strict adherence to all of the precepts and beliefs of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And you go to BYU and you say, I am going to live by this code. So it's like no alcohol, no drugs, no premarital sex, it's a long list, your grooming standards and how you wear your hair, how you can be your attire, how you dress when you're around campus, and certain, you like flip-flops and things like that can be only worn in certain places, not when you go into class, and testing centers. And there's a whole list, and you can be in someone's apartment. Anyways, this is the reason I bring this up, is because the students, bless their hearts, they're always trying to find a way to get around the honor code, and not violate the honor code, but find the loophole in the honor code. And so, they've gotten very creative in a lot of ways. When you go over to someone of the opposite sex apartment, and when you leave, and when you can come back, there's observance about Sunday and where you go on Sundays, and that 12:01 is no longer Sunday, it's Monday, so everyone heads to McDonald's for a midnight because it's open 24/7. So they're technically not in Sunday anymore. And so there's always looking for the loophole. And that's what tanking is, right? These teams are just going, it's here. We don't want to violate the rules because teams get fined. The Utah Jazz, $500,000 this year. Indiana has been fined this year. Mark Cuban, very openly, and I think he was the first one to just say, yeah, I'm tanking. I love tanking. And look how great it worked out for Mark Cuban. They end up getting Luka, who was, a great player for them, ended up in the final, so they understand and understood the process. And And now they have Cooper Flag, and so there's this you know everyone looks at the success of it. OKC has been a huge benefactor of this process of tinking. Now, what I got enamored with was this whole idea of the loopholes, right? Because I think there's loopholes in all of sports. Like you're always trying to, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that that's what, as human beings, instead of just saying, here's the rules, we can all obey the rules, follow the rules, and just do things right. And it's like we can't do that. In the state of Utah, they have what's called open enrollment, right? And it's so basically you are not prohibited from going to any high school in the state of Utah. If you lived all the way in northern Utah and Logan and you wanted to go to school in southern Utah at Dixie High School in St. George, Utah, you could. And you could live in Logan and drive to St. George every day if you really wanted to. Now, clearly that's stupid, but you could technically. You could move. You or you could go live with an aunt or a relative or something, whatever. It doesn't matter. And the rule is as long as there's a capacity. So each school has a designated capacity. Anyways, people get around the rule for sports, and so all these kids show up at these schools, and it's totally fine, but it's outside of kind of the integrity of the rule. So you get these kind of dominant schools like Corner Canyon High School, Timpview High School, Bingham High School. All these schools in the state of Utah through the years have benefited from this and created an unfair competitive balance. Like this is not fair. It's like you have all the talented players, of course you're going to win. And so are you really winning? It's just, but the point is we don't care because we're going to we're going to find the loophole. We're going to find the way to tank, to go about this. Now, the NBA is fascinating because they go, we don't like it. We hate it. And there are supposed unintended consequences, and those consequences are you're going to get good freaking players. And I think the desire to tank is kind of tied to the drafts, right? So this year's draft very deep. You want to be up there. No one's ever. This is the other thing that drives me bananas about the NBA. It's like it's a lucky system. It's like it's literally just hope that you draw the best straw, right? The short straw, whatever. The Utah Jazz didn't. They had the worst record in the NBA, and they got into the worst possible position that they could have in the draft. They went all the way to 5, and one was Cooper Flag, who's been phenomenal this year, and Ace Bailey's shown some promise. We'll see where it goes with him. You just never know, and that's so frustrating with the NBA. And basically what it is, it's like you're just trying to put the odds in your favor. So trying to get the highest draft pick, trying to get as many possible draft picks as you can, trying to find players anywhere you can possibly find them, and just have as many shots at doing that. And the jury's, and still doesn't mean you're gonna win a championship, but there's a high probability you will. And I think that's the challenge with tanking, is that it works. It's kind of and so Adam Silver's just like, this is unacceptable, and it's not a good look, and it's not a good practice, and we're going to end tanking. And it's yet I haven't heard a viable solution to the problem. Because if you just go straight draft like the NFL and you just go worst team picks first, and that's just kind of how it works, it doesn't seem to change the NFL in some regards, because I just don't know why you can't do it in basketball. Why don't you just do it? Like, what does it hurt? And what's the argument? Someone please help me with the argument for why just like, and here's the thing. So let's say you have the worst record, right? And so everyone's trying to get the worst record so they can have the best pick in the lottery, or in the draft. And so what? So you pick last. And eventually, if you pick last enough, you're not going to be picking last any longer. And what you're going to do is you're going to be a good team, so you won't be last. And that's kind of the idea. It helps you to go from being a bad team to a good team. I still don't understand why you just can't do that. And clearly, maybe you're going to have a few teams vying for that last spot. I don't know. I mean, everyone can't be the last team. I mean, maybe that's what this is all about, is to try to create competition. Like, I'm not a fan of that play in the NBA. I'm really not. I don't. It's one of those things where you just go, um, look, the teams that are going to be good are going to be good, and you can't have your cake and eat it too in any league. Like, you have to have bad teams, because if you don't have bad teams, you're not going to have good teams, and you have to have good teams. Otherwise, your league isn't interesting. And there's just the sacrificial lamb. It's just like the SEC has Vanderbilt, it has Kentucky, it has some of these schools, that just are never going to win. Mississippi State, they're good, but they're not great, and they're there. But and every once in a while, in a blue moon, they show some promise, but they're there to support, to help these other teams. And that's just how it is in the NBA. I don't know why we're so caught up in, well, everyone has to do well. I mean, you can't shut down human nature. Like, if you're a team, we'll just let's go with this play-in scenario. You're a team, and you're like 11, 12, and you're kind of fighting for the play-in spot, and you're like, for what? So we can play an extra week. Like, we're not going to win the NBA title. We don't have a good enough team. And is it really worth it to us? Now, people can say, yes, you need to play your hardest all the time. You need to, it's about the integrity of the game. And I get it. I'm a firm believer, like, that would be my approach. But human nature is just like, yeah, maybe I'm trying the hardest I can, but maybe underneath it all, I'm not. And I don't know that you can measure that, or determine that, or figure that out. Or maybe it's something subconsciously people just go, you know, uh, because we do tend to kind of reach that place where we see ourselves magically, and so you don't have a shot, and that's the frustration I think the Utah Jazz have had through the years, is they've been good enough not to be bad. I mean, it's just like the Pittsburgh Steelers are just good enough not to be bad, but they're never going to be great. And the only way they're going to be great is if they stink. And they kind of go through, and maybe it's not the only way, but it's the higher probability of them getting great is through being bad. And that allows you to get that transitional player, that marquee player that can change the whole fortune of your franchise. And the question in this year's NFL draft is Fernando Mendoza that guy? And I don't know, but I think everyone's always looking for, where's the next Michael Jordan? Where's the next Kobe? Where's the next LeBron? Where's the next, who are these players? Where's the next Steph Curry, Kevin Durant? They're out there, and what that player means to your franchise for years, for such a long time. So to figure out how to tank, to figure out how to kind of find the loophole in the process is interesting. Now, here's something. There's a couple of things that that this article I read that really fascinated me. One was how teams actually are tanking, and not tanking. And that is, they just get crappy players. They go and they sign non-NBA talented players on their roster who have no business, have no talent being in the NBA. And they're on, some G League or some continental league, and all of a sudden they get a 5-day, 10-day contract in the NBA, and they're playing like they don't come out of the game. Like they're playing more minutes in the NBA than they were in the G League. Like they're just Like it's ridiculous. Like they're just they're just going to burn through these players. So the argument is like we're trying, we got injuries, we got load management, we're on a pitch count with our players. They're only going to play so many minutes in a game. So we got these other players that we have to play. And you can't argue, you can't say, well, you're tanking, because you got guys in the game that are playing the best they possibly can play. And then you have other players who are they're like really good players, and they go in games and they like the second half of a game and they just foul out. They go from no fouls to fouling out of the game like, less than halfway through the third quarter. So now they're most of the second half they're out of the game. And so this is to me that loophole where, yeah, we're kind of, we're wink wink not doing this, but the potential of the prize on the other end, Victor Wembanyama, you've got Cooper Flat, you have it's too big a prize. Like it's too big a prize to give up. It's literally the best and probably only way that teams are really going to be competitive. And you look at OKC, you look at San Antonio, you look at Houston, you look at all these teams that were horrible. I mean, I'm watching these teams now going, yeah, I remember a couple years ago they were horrid. They were terrible. And then you have teams that maybe because like Indiana gets a player injured and they go, yeah, this is going to be our tanking year. Our superstars out. And good for us because we're a really good basketball team and our superstars out, so we're not going to win this year, so we're tanking. Because this is a deep draft and all of a sudden we're a really good basketball team and we get a high pick and all of a sudden we're adding just more depth to the wealth of riches we have. And it was all because of an injury situation. It's not that we're a bad team. It's not that we're in a rebuild. We're just in a short-term pickle because, our star is out. And you sit there and you just go, it's hard to argue that strategy. Like why that's to me, that's just smart. Because you're not going to win. Your dude's out, right? So you might as well, make the most of a really tough situation. Now, here's the other side of this. There's a lot more to this because this is the sucky part, right? So the good part is that you can become OKC, you can become the San Antonio Spurs, but the sucky part is for a guy who's in a contract year and he's playing lights. He's like, I want to get paid. I want to be able to, get the maximum dollar amount I can. And if I'm not playing and I'm not performing and producing, my value goes down. And I'm not in control of that because I'll tell you what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to play hard every night. And the team goes, no, you're not. No, you are not, because we can't have you play good. And it's really kind of a sucky thing for a guy like this. It's that's not that's not fair to the player. And it happens, and it has happened. This isn't like a hypothetical thing. It's a real unintended consequence of this process of tanking. The other aspect, and I've always believed this, I've been a huge proponent or of this opinion, and that is you have to create a culture of winning, of trying, of excelling every single night. I just don't understand how you go, yeah, we're going to turn it on tonight and we're going to turn it off tomorrow. Going to play hard tonight, not going to play hard tomorrow. In fact, we're not going to play hard for the next 2 months. And I just can't believe that does not weigh on you as a team. I look at Will Hardy, and a lot of people are very high on Will Hardy with the Utah Jazz, and me being one. But there has to come a point, where you have to just uh, you have to find a way to win, or otherwise you're just going to be in this. It's almost like you can't create great habits and excellent habits of success when you really are trying to lose. I mean, I think of these great coaches, and they just go, all I know is one thing, and it's winning, it's playing hard, it's doing things the right way. And I think it's a real challenge, a real problem, and I think it's a real consequence of tanking and tanking for a significant period of time, which I believe the Utah Jazz have been doing. The other thing is there's like 10 teams right now who are in this process. You could handle it if it was just a couple, but it's like the bottom. It's like I think there was a few nights ago, 27 games or 2017, and 10 of them were tanking games. And you just go, this is like unwatchable, which to me is the next problem. And in this article, in this discussion about tanking, not once did anyone go, who really sucks for this are the fans. Like you have to watch 3 months of basketball, from January to April, and you have to watch your team know that you're not going to win. And you just know it. And you're going to see all these players that are not going to be there long term. And you still have to show up, and you still have to go, yeah, yeah, yay, our team. Now a lot of fans go, and this is kind of the approach I try to take. It's like, okay, we're in on the rebuild. We understand the problem. We understand the challenges, but we're with you. We're in on it. We know this is the path to a championship. And I think every single Utah Jazz fan, it'd be fascinating to say, what would you give up to win a championship, because the team's never won one. And this is a state and a fan base that's just frothing for a championship. And they probably go, okay, I can tolerate a year of tanking. Fine. It didn't work out the way we want. Fine, we'll do another year of tanking. I don't know. But the fans, and it's not just, it's not just your team. It's all the other teams, because you now are going to an event, and this is why professional sports is so compelling, is because you have the very best in the world, whatever sport it is, and they're out competing against each other, and that the person who has the success is the best, and that's what you want to see. You want to see, okay, we know we're watching greatness. We don't want to watch something that's fixed, tainted, manipulated. We want just mano a mano. Show me who is the best. That's what I want to watch. That is the compelling part of sports. And it massively gets diminished and minimized with this whole process of tanking. I get tanking. I'm not a fan of tanking. I've never been a fan of tanking. It's like, come on, you need a competitive league, and there's a standard. And quite frankly, I think a lot of it has to do with the whole attitude about the All-Star game. I think it has to do with the attitude about the players in general. It's like, yeah, we tank. We are on load management. We don't really want to try hard in the All-Star game. We don't care. We could care less. And that's not what we want. We want you to care more. We want you to care like all the time. When you step on that court, get on that field, wherever your sport is, skate on the ice, bring it. Bring it. That's all we want. All right. We're going to bring you more of the down and dirty around the corner. Interesting stuff. Fernando Mendoza not going to the draft. And we'll talk some more about kind of small guys in the draft, and is it really a thing or isn't it? Because they're measuring every ounce and inch, and they're just scrutinizing these players almost ridiculously at this point. We'll talk about that. So much more. Oh, we got a game today too. I can't wait. Martin's got a game. He won't tell me what it is, but there's an opportunity for a gold star today. So stick around. The Down and Dirty will be right back.
is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty, Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. Oh, we're having fun today. Tanking, it's the bane of existence in the NFL. It's a bad thing, terrible thing. Please do not do this at home, folks. And I just, it's like, I don't know. Everyone, I hate, here's what I hate about sports. I hate all of the stupid statistics, and I think basketball has the stupidest statistics in sports. And I know people geek out about this stuff. They're all, I want the stats. I want to know all this stuff. What happened here and what happened there. For me, it's just like, did you win or did you lose? End of discussion. That's all I want to know. And everyone looks at their plus minus or their war or their all these different things, and it's like, I don't know what all that stuff means. And it's that stupid money ball. That's the whole problem. Moneyball killed it for all of us. It's like, the most important thing is that he gets on base. That's the stat. That's the Moneyball, right? Just build your team full of guys that get on base. And over time, you'll score more runs than the other team, which is the reason for playing. That's the whole objective, is to, at the end of 9 innings, you have more runs than the other team. And the same thing in all the other sports. The team with the most points at the end of the match. I know I'm sharing rocket science with you right now. But it's just, anyways, statistics. Yeah. And I know the data doesn't lie, and it tells you everything. Yeah. All right. The draft is coming up soon. We got some NFL news of notes, as we do every day, because the NFL is the religion of our society. It is 24/7, 365. It's always in discussion. In fact, the only day that the NFL does not exist is on Tuesdays. Just so you know, it's the Sabbath of the NFL is a Tuesday, only because there are no games. Now you say, well, there's no games right now, but there's a lot of other stuff. And quite frankly, this is my show, and I actually am going to, run my show how I want to run it. So guess what? Tuesday is the Sabbath day of the NFL. All right. Fernando Mendoza. He's fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating. And of course, he came out of absolutely obscurity and turned himself into a Heisman Trophy winner and the first pick in the NFL draft. Was not highly recruited. Went to Indiana. Like, it's just funny to say Indiana, it's the center of the universe of college football right now. And just turned it on its ear. And so there's this, he's not going to go to the draft, which is so Fernando Mendoza-ish, right? That he's clearly this kid that, like, he has his beat, that he goes to his own, drum, and it's worked very well for him. In some regards, you might even say that's maybe what his superpower is that he knows himself. He's very comfortable in his skin. He certainly does things that maybe are a little bit unorthodox. And probably there'll come a time when everyone will do what Fernando Mendoza, he has success in the NFL. Everyone's going to look at it and go, you need to be like Fernando Mendoza. Or people will go, the dude was like, no. And we don't know that. We won't know that for years to come. But I've always, with what he's done so far, been impressed simply because look, the thing I think I learned quickest in the NFL was when, like, this is your shot, okay? Whatever it is. So if he's the first pick in the draft, if he's not picked, whatever, if he's Brock Purdy, he's the last one picked, it's your opportunity. It's your chance. You're not on scholarship. No one owes you anything. You're not going to get any handouts for anything. There's not going to be like a manual that says this is how you're supposed to act. This is what you're supposed to do. No one says that to you. You decide that. It's your opportunity. So it's just like, this is just what I do. And I think the thing that impresses me most about Fernando Mendoza, he gets that. And he goes, okay, so when I do my pro day, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to run it. I'm going to run it this way, for whatever reasons. A lot of people have made a big deal about him calling out the routes to his wide receivers. And just so you know, typically quarterbacks just go, hey, run a 7 route, run this, whatever, because it's not scripted. How else are they going to know? So don't overemphasize that, but just emphasize the fact that he ran his own drill. And that's really all it is. Now, and that's awesome because so many of these guys, it's all scripted and they have a coach and they do this and they do that and they do whatever. And he did all of this. Now he was he did certain things when he went in to learn his teammates, learning all of their names before he ever showed up. So he knew who everyone. There's this attention to detail. There's this different mindset. And now he goes, look, I'm not going to go to the draft. I want to spend it with the people that mean the most to me. And you get this way because you were not the guy. And I think there's a lot of power in that. I think there's a lot of humility, and that humility breeds like curiosity. It breeds a drive. It breeds a determination. So many that you look at Tom Brady, and Tom Brady was not the guy. He was not the guy. And yet he said, this is my opportunity. And in his mind, he goes, this is the best decision that the New England Patriots have ever made, drafting me. That's the mindset he went into it with. And you're seeing this with Fernando Mendoza, where he's just like, I'm doing my thing. A lot of people weren't in my corner. Now everyone's in my corner. And the only reason they're in my corner is because of what I've done. And what I've done, the success I've had, have been with the people that matter to me the most. Those are the people that have really forged me and supported me and molded me and helped me and been a big part of my success, not all these fair weather, jump on the bandwagon people. And so he says, you know what? F the draft. I'm not going. No, thanks, all that stuff. I appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. But what matters to me, and I will not compromise on this, is my family and the people around me. And that speaks volumes of, who this guy is, because everyone wants to walk out on the stage and they all want to be like, yeah, I'm in my really nice suit and I'm looking, all dope and I'm all this and whatever. And here and me and Roger hanging out, and he gives me a hug like we're bros. And it's like, those are the most awkward hugs in the world, by the way. The most shallow, the most meaningless, like, let's hug the commissioner. It's like, and so I just find it funny that, and look, it's all about the PR. It's all about that stuff. And Fernando Mendoza goes, I'm needing that. I don't need it. And they're all talking about Fernando Mendoza not playing this year. Like he's going to sit. And they've set up an amazing circumstance so with Kirk Cousins. Like if I had to handpick, it's like you would want Kirk Cousins to marry your daughter, right? That's just what you want. And you want Kirk Cousins to mentor your quarterback. Like there's nobody. No, there's nobody in the NFL for me that that I would rather have than him. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Uh but I just feel like there's a maturity, there's a level of being very comfortable with who you are. And I think that's one of the things that helps you navigate through this. But as I was saying earlier, it's like you have to no one's going to tell you what to do, and you really have to know yourself in order to get there and to do it and to succeed. And I remember the moment this happened to me because it was, the draft. I hate the draft, by the way, because it brings up really bad memories for me. And I just hate it because you're the guy who wants to be picked first. Like that's just how you're wired. You've always been the person who's been picked first your whole life, and then all of a sudden they go, "No, you're not first, and you're not second, and you're not third, you're fourth." Um, and so it really kind of shakes your foundation. You start going, "Whoo, I don't know." So then you get into you because you've come from college and you're on scholarship. So you come in as a freshman and you just go, man, I'm a freshman, I'm not playing. In the NFL, it's like, well, if you don't play, you're not here. You don't belong. We don't have the ability to just go, yeah, okay. But quarterback is a little different situation. So for me, I was like, you know what? Not where I wanted to be drafted, not when I wanted to be drafted. I am drafted. I can't go back. And so you do whatever you have to do to succeed. And in my mind, it was like, well, the only way I can do this is if I come here with the attitude and the commitment and the goal of being the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. That's how I entered the NFL with a guy named Dan Marino in front of me. And this wasn't an affront to Dan Marino. It wasn't like, it was just like, it was my mindset to go play professional football. And I did everything I possibly could have done to get there. And I did. And I did it every day. And I showed up every day. And you know what? I did it. But I couldn't have done it any other way. And you see all these players. I mean, they all do it in their own way. Every player who makes it succeeds in the NFL. They understand a process. They understand their people. They understand. Fernando Mendoza goes, I don't go to the draft. It's what I do to make myself the best player I possibly can be, just from my mindset, from everything that I'm doing. So that's what I do, and it's fascinating. But with all these players, because a lot of the top talent in the draft this year, even Fernando Mendoza, there's question marks. There's always those guys where they just go, there's no question marks. John Elway, no question marks. Peyton Manning, no question marks. But some other players, they're like these question marks about their abilities, and are they, are they going to be great players? Now, a lot of it, for whatever reason, and especially with interior linemen, so a lot of it is like hand arm length. Quarterbacks, even it's like their hand size. It's actually their actual size, and so there's kind of these knocks. You have these players extremely successful in college football, and yet there's the question mark. So Bain out of Miami, who was just a force, and he's rated probably the top edge guy in the draft. They go, well, his arms are short. And it's like, and yet he's learned how to play in a different leverage position. And you see Ty Simpson at Alabama, and Ty Simpson's like, Well, he's only played a year. Or you see some guys and you go, well, it's a little bit kind of on the heavy side, and so the question is, for some reason they equate heavy to not a great work ethic, or does he really care, kind of mindset, but there's a lot of players, and so I was trying to think in my mind of like, there's not one size that it's go, okay, this is it. Like, if you aren't this size, if you don't look this way, you cannot play in the NFL. And I took a little dive on undersized players or odd players, and some of the best players to ever play in the NFL, and it was quite a surprising list. I mean, it's a list of Hall of Fame type of players, and there's a player that's not on the list that I'm going to put on the list, and he's really my first guy, and that's John Randall. And John Randall was he's a Hall of Fame defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings predominantly. A very interesting character in the NFL, very boisterous in his time. And I actually was talking to John one time, and he was telling me, because I go, now we were drafted the same year, and he wasn't drafted. And this is when the NFL draft was 12 rounds. So 12 rounds of teams passed on a future Hall of Famer. And they passed on him because he was one of these odd-sized players. And he just didn't fit the mold. He wasn't, and he was weird because you couldn't put him out on the edge. You couldn't stand him up, and where he played was inside. And he was too small. He was undersized. So he never fit any of the roles, right? Couldn't really go back in coverage as the linebacker, didn't have that edge speed, size, and so he's undersized. And he said to me, he said, the best thing that ever happened to me was not being drafted, because then I could select the exact team that I wanted to go to. And he said, now the only team that was even remotely interested in me was the Minnesota Vikings. So that was the team I selected, because that was the only choice I had. They told him, you have to gain 10 pounds or we won't pick you up. So he goes, I live in the hot Texas heat, and I have to, he goes, I can't gain weight. And so I go to Minnesota, and they're going to weigh me in, and they've given me some time to gain some weight. And I go there and I'm light. I go to a hardware store. I buy a chain, like a big chain and a lock. And he goes, I wrapped it around my waist. I hid it in my sweats, put a lock on it, and I barely made the 10 pounds. And they didn't know. And maybe they did, who knows. And he goes, I never would have played. I never would have had an opportunity and I go, so a Hall of Fame career started with you wrapping a chain around your waist to weigh 10 pounds more than you actually did. And John was he was a beast. I'm telling you, he's one of the best of all time, but he was certainly undersized. Now, another guy who kind of it fits that mold is Aaron Donald. Like, Aaron Donald doesn't necessarily have this great size for, the position he plays. But yet he's a Hall of Famer. And so there was this list, and I actually want to kind of go through the list here, because I just think it's so fascinating. And so this is a list of actual NFL players who were undersized. Okay. And I'm actually going to just read the list to you. So of course you had, this is so good. You had John Randall. Now he's size wise. These are like short guys, but size wise, he was still undersized. So it's height, weight, undersized, but over gifted with heart and work and motor and things that matter. Right. Okay. You ready for this? Barry Sanders, 5'8". Okay. So he's considered an undersized player. Now, I have to tell you a story about Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was at a movie. So back when people went to the movie, and he's in the lobby, and he's with our center, Kevin Glover. So here's these two, guys standing there, and word got around the movie theater that Barry Sanders was at the movie theater. So these kids look at these two guys, and they look like the most likely suspects that would be, Barry Sanders. So these kids, they run up to Kevin, and Barry's standing right next to him, and they go to Kevin, "Are you Barry Sanders?" Because he was the bigger guy. Like Barry's just this little short guy, and he goes, "No," and they go, "Because we want your autograph if you're Barry Sanders." He goes, "No, I'm not Barry Sanders," and he doesn't say, "Well, here's Barry Sanders," and the kids kind of look at Barry, don't even ask him, and they just walk away. And so Barry was not a big guy. He was very small, and yet Hall of Famer. Like unbelievable career, unbelievable talent. Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith is so yeah. There's a picture. Kevin is the guy on the right, and clearly you can see how much shorter. And Kevin's not Kevin's probably Lomas is the guy on the left, and Lomas is about 6'5". He's about my height, and Kevin's 6'2" ish, And so here Kevin and Barry are standing there, and so that's kind of the funny thing. Now, Steve Smith, wide receiver at the University of Utah. Steve Smith was only 5'9", and he had phenomenal career, 14,000 yards in his career, 5-time Pro Bowler, just a really, really amazing career. And of course, the guy to me, Sam Mills, who is just an incredible linebacker. Sam Mills was only 5'9". I mean, 5'9", and of course, he's a Hall of Famer. It's just so funny. All of these guys. Darrell Green is 5'8", and of course played 20 years in the NFL. And the point is, we get so caught up in like looking for the prototype, and we just so miss the heart. We miss and not. I mean, Darrell Green was a first-round draft pick. Emmett, Barry, these guys, they were highly sought-after players, but certainly undersized and certainly had just these powerful, powerful careers. So, all right, there you have it. Another one, Drew Brees. Drew Brees is only 6 feet tall, and was Kyler Murray's only 5'10". Tyrann Mathieu is only 5'9". It just Honey Pot is just a player, man. Anyways, by the way, Jackie Soapy Shapiro, 1929, was the smallest player to ever play in an NFL game at 5'1". I can't imagine. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. Martin has a game to play when the Down and Dirty returns.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. from the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell. So glad you could be a part of our show today. As always, we love to bring sports to you in a down and dirty fashion. We also like to have fun. We're going to have fun right now. Of course, Martin has devised. Wait, did you shave or did you not shave? Oh no, no. It's hard. It's wispy. The wispy beard. Anyways, Martin is. He's come up with another game. We love Martin's games. They're fun. You can play at home. At the end of the game, you get a gold star, and you're a champion because everyone gets a gold. Well, now, man, some people lose in games. I'm gonna be. That's the question I'm gonna ask Herman. Did you let your kids win at games when they were growing up? I didn't. Well, I didn't. My kids had to earn it. They had to earn it. All right, what do you got for us, Martin? What's your show? What's your game?
All right, we're gonna play Guess the Year, Scott. So this is just guessing what year was this in the NFL. Okay, so how I'm gonna give you this is I'm gonna give you the division where the MVP came from, the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, one of these years has a Comeback Player of the Year, and the rest have Coach of the Year and the Super Bowl matchup. Okay, so you have to guess which year this is. This is just a regular season. I threw the Super Bowl in there, but that doesn't really legitimately count. So
I couldn't tell you the years of Super Bowl. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see how
I'm ready for this game.
All right. So your first year, your MVP came from the NFC West. Offensive Player of the Year came from the NFC West. Your Defensive Player of the Year came from the NFC North. Comeback Player of the Year was from the NFC South. Coach of the Year was from the NFC North. And your Super Bowl matchup was AFC North versus NFC West. What year am I talking about?
Oh, so I don't even get the people. You're just telling me the conference and
just conference and division. That's it.
All right. So the MVP was the NFC West.
Yeah. No guess. No looking up your computers.
I know this one.
Okay. What year?
2025.
No.
What?
No. Nope. That's not it.
So my MVP would have been Matthew Stafford. The Super Bowl champion would have been, were the Patriots, and the NFC West, which was the Seattle Seahawks.
Right, but the Coach of the Year is from the NFC North. The Coach of the Year wasn't from the NFC North this past season.
Oh.
Yeah, so you got to think a little harder here. Who could have won the Coach of the Year from the NFC North?
That would have been Belichick, probably. Would it have been NFC North? Oh no, the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been. What's the North? Is that the Giants and the
NFC North? That's my team and the Packers and the
the NFC North
and the Vikings. I'm giving you clues here now.
So I would say no. It's gonna be Dan Campbell.
Are you sure?
And it's gonna be I'm not sure, but that's what I'm guessing. And it's gonna be 2023.
I'm gonna give you one more chance before I give it to you. You're wrong again.
1997.
Nope. It is the year 2005. This is the year Sean Alexander won the NFC. Won the MVP for his 2,000-yard season, and this is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
2005.
2005. Because the Coach of the Year that year, and then in the NFC North Coach of the Year was Lovie Smith, and the Defensive Player of the Year was Brian.
See, I have to think of terms Chicago Bears. So that's how everything. Okay, give me another one. I'm ready for another.
All right, so the next year, since Comeback Player of the Year wasn't around then, we're just gonna get just the basic awards. All right, your MVP came from the AFC North. Offensive Player of the Year came from the AFC Central. Okay, so that should give you a clue what decade. Okay, Defensive Player of the Year came out of the AFC West, and Coach of the Year was AFC West as well. And your Super Bowl matchup was AFC North versus NFC East.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. I worked hard on this. I found good ones.
I'm gonna say this is this is 1990 95.
Nope. I'm gonna give you got 2 more tries. You're about you're too far ahead. You got to backtrack a little bit. Backtrack.
Too far ahead?
Too far ahead. You're too far ahead into the NFL history.
Let's see. The North, AFC North is that would be Miami.
AFC North is like Pittsburgh.
No, I know. The AFC Central is. So you have the East, the Central, and the West.
Mm-hmm.
So which one is it?
The Super Bowl is AFC North.
Okay, so the MVP, did they come from there was no AFC North.
AFC East. You're actually right about that.
So that would be Miami. It would be NFC East 1982.
You're close. I'll give you one
84.
more chance. No, all right. It's 1978.
78?
Yeah, this is the year Terry Bradshaw won the MVP. AFC Central Offensive Player of the Year, that was Earl Campbell. Coach of the Year came from the Seattle Seahawks. And then your Super Bowl matchup was Pittsburgh versus Dallas.
Whew. This is a tough game.
This is a fun game, though. This is making.
I don't know how fun this is because I haven't won anything yet. But.
This is fun watching.
Last one.
All right. So last one. The MVP came from the NFC East. Offensive Player of the Year was AFC West. Defensive Player of the Year was NFC East. Coach of the Year was NFC East. You can see a theme here. And your Super Bowl matchup was NFC East versus AFC East. And I'll give you a clue. You already said the year.
Oh.
So think back to what numbers you just spewed out and guess which one it is.
1982.
Yep, there you go. This is the only kicker ever won MVP in the NFL history. Can you guess what team, though? Let's play that one here for a second.
Was the MVP? Was it Mark Mosley?
Yes, it was. This is the year Mark Mosley won MVP, and this is the year that Joe Gibbs won Coach of the Year.
There you go.
Yep. Your defensive player of the year was Lawrence Taylor, your favorite player.
I love it. All right, Herman Moore, right around the corner when the Down and Dirty returns. Good stuff, Martin. You get a gold star. We'll be back in a minute.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mappiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. That's when the little engine that could gets to the top of the mountain, and he's on the downward slide to the weekend. And, of course, there's no better way to usher in the optimistic part of the week with legendary NFL and Detroit Lion wide receiver Herman Moore. He was, and always will be the best in the business. Always joins our show here on our Wednesdays. We're hanging with Herman. So, Herman, welcome. How's the weather in Detroit, and how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I always get prepared to come on and speak with my favorite QB1 and the most underappreciated QB in the history of the NFL.
Ooh,
Mr. Scott Mitchell.
Oh.
How you doing today, Bill? Weather's good here. Weather is good here in Michigan. I cannot complain. We've had all 4 seasons in 24 hours. It's been warm. It's been cold. It's been rainy. It's been tornado warnings. So, yeah.
So why?
Dynamic weather.
Why subject yourself? I live in a place that has 300 days of sunshine. I don't think you can handle. I think you're a
300 whole American
300 days of sunshine.
That's amazing.
It's been sunny here for, I don't know, 6 or 7 straight days. Like, it's sunny right now. I look outside the window and all I see is blue sky. I don't think you can handle. Detroit is down and dirty weather, by the way. It's like I just like I don't know. I really enjoyed Michigan. Why not?
Why not? But listen, the minute you said, you know what, you can't handle. Every time I hear someone start that, you can't. I'm thinking first, a few good men. So I'm thinking, are you ready to turn Colonel Jessup?
Yes.
Joseph Jessup.
Yes.
Is that what you're ready to turn? Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of interesting things. So Fernando Mendoza, he's going to be the first pick in the draft. He's not going to the draft, which is highly unusual. And a lot of it, his mother has MS. She's in a wheelchair, part of it. But part of it for him, he's like, I want to be around the people and with the people that really mattered to me. When you're drafted, did you go to the draft? Were you at the draft, your draft year?
No. I stayed home.
You stayed home?
I stayed home with my mom. I think my dad was there, my sister, my girlfriend at the time. / fiance, eventually wife. I didn't know. I stayed home.
Were you invited?
I was amongst my people, man.
Were you invited to go?
I wasn't invited.
Yeah.
You know what? I take that back. You're challenging my memory right now. I don't know if I was invited or not, but I had no desire to go.
You had no desire to go.
I would have been. No, I wasn't going to go.
Did you like the draft? Because you got drafted early, so it was like I got drafted at the 4th round. The draft. I hate the draft. I hate the draft to this day. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. I hate it. I'm just, but maybe you.
Wait a minute, but that's your entry into the NFL. I mean, it's a process. It's part of. When you say that, it almost sounds like you hate the process. What's the alternative?
That was like being born upside down. If you talk about entry into the world, like it was like, and I came out on my head. Just boom, right on the ground. It was Okay.
Where
Here's
were you
why.
slotted? I mean, did you slip
Well,
in the
this is
draft?
this is
Were
what
you
this
were you
is.
going to be
So
higher in the draft? Like, what was it going to be?
all right. So some guy named Barry Sanders, 1989, goes, "Hey, I've been in school for 3 years. I should be eligible for the draft." And so he goes and gets drafted as a junior. And then they after that year, 1990, they go, "Hey, we'll let every junior come in and come into the draft." But they didn't make the decision until late. So a lot of guys weren't actually scouted. And so I was one of them. My coach had just been fired. We had 5 guys that had gone to prison for selling drugs. Like our team was going to be in shambles. And I'm like, I might as well go in the draft. And everyone said, "Oh, you'll be drafted um, late first round. No later than the second round. You'll go." And they go, if Jeff George gets drafted high, and the second guy in the draft is Andre Ware, who went to Detroit with you were with Andre in Detroit.
Yep.
In fact, Mouse Davis, who was the coordinator there, actually worked me out when I was in college. And I go, "Why are you working me out?" And he goes, if I'm being frank, he goes, "I'm not convinced that Andre Ware it can run this offense, even though he's ran it in college." I'm not. And he goes, "I turned Jim Kelly, who was a traditional drop back quarterback, and we were with the Houston Gamblers in the USFL." And he goes, he picked it up, and he goes, "I don't see any reason why you couldn't either." And so I was like, "Okay, whatever." I go, "I don't know that I'd want to do that offense, but
Yeah, you couldn't be a run and shoot quarterback,
yeah,
man. That would have been oil and water, man. I don't see
yeah,
that at all.
yeah,
6'6", 6'7"
yeah,
quarterback, sprint outs,
right,
2-step drop,
yeah,
sprint right or left, and then
yeah,
throwing it. No.
yeah. Yeah, so you have good memories of the draft. The draft doesn't mean anything to you. You're just like when you say entry into the NFL is like. Now I will tell you this, that I've always appreciated the Miami Dolphins, because they picked me. Of all the teams that could have picked me, it's like that. So I've always had this like appreciation, or there's always been this soft spot, or a sense of loyalty, because of all the teams that could, they were the one that did, and they liked me. But what was hard is, I'd gone my whole life being the guy. Like I was always picked first, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Yeah, we don't think you're very good," kind of thing. And so it was a hard process for me for a lot of years. Like, man, I didn't even like watching the draft. I just PTSD for me, big time. I just couldn't do it.
The draft is a humbling experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. All right. So there was a big baseball brawl. And it got me thinking, so they always fight in hockey, they always fight in baseball, and it's like they don't really fight. They don't really fight in football. Now, if you recall, when we played in Detroit, they had some brawls in the stands, right? Do you remember that? Where
Oh,
man,
yeah.
they just
All
these
day.
fights would
It was
just
a
break
silver
out
dome.
during.
It was a silver dome. So,
It
yeah,
was
it's fights. We'd be in the
it was
huddle and we look around, you
yeah,
turn around and you look and you're
yeah.
like, who's fighting? And there's a fight there, and then you're trying to call the play, and I'm looking like, man, did you guys see what's happening up on the rafters there?
And
Yeah.
it was a real thing. I mean, they were real. Um, so do you think football would be more interesting if they just kind of let people fight a little bit? I know there's kind of scuffles and this and that, whatever, and you fight in practice and training camp, but I'm talking about there's just this unwritten rule that, yeah, we're going to throw at a guy's head, or hockey, we're going to drop the gloves. Like, would that be of interest and make football, I don't know, more exciting, more compelling?
Scott, have you read the police reports in the records of most of the players coming into the NFL? That you do not want to let it become a lawless. You have this window of opportunity
Ah,
to do that. And I'm just kidding, man. But you know what? It's not. No, I don't think it's. Football is by nature is a physical sport, and because it's such a physical sport, now you're opening it up and saying, okay, you have this opportunity like they do in hockey, man. You can take off the gloves and you can just go until somebody drops, man. We got helmets. Guys are really, really strong, and we're used to a different type of combat, and I think that would be it would be entertaining,
yeah.
100%. I'd pay top dollar. I'd sit back, grab my popcorn, my pizza, my beer, or whatever, and I'd sit on the side and be able to watch that. I think I would enjoy that a little bit more than just, a lot of the celebrations.
Would you?
So I
Would
mean,
you?
there's something there, man. Let me think about it. Like that's gonna be part of my new piece called Herman's Head. I don't know if you remember that way back when. You have
Yeah.
a person who really didn't have any sitcom or TV things you ever wanted to watch, so you figure out and you tripped across this, and then there's this weird guy by the name of Herman, and then call it Herman's Head. Whole different. I digress, but
I actually remember that.
And the thing is, but it was. If you look at how that show was, that's how series have really taken off now, where they have these flashback, they have these series of here's what I'm thinking. The other person doesn't know what I'm thinking, but here's the visual. And it was kind of, I thought it was pretty smart. So, yeah, man. I
So
think there's something there.
we can get a visual on what's going on in Herman's head.
Can you imagine that? Like, what are you really thinking?
Right.
In the huddle? Like, if you're looking, I'm looking at you as a quarterback, and you're looking at myself, Johnny, Brett. Play call comes in. If you could really think of what people are thinking, like, what is Herman thinking about this play? What is Barry even thinking? What did the lineman even like? That'd be amazing. That might be a nice little superpower. They always ask, like, what's that superpower anybody want? I think either reading minds or invisibility.
I remember I think the most shocking thing, speaking of the huddle, because I want to get back to the fighting thing, but the most shocking thing about the huddle was when Brett wouldn't get in the huddle. He just wouldn't even get in the huddle, and I'm like, you gotta get in the huddle. Like he goes, why? You're not going to throw the ball to me anyways. You're going to throw it to him all the time. I don't need to be in there. And I'm like, fine, just go line up, but don't be offsides if that's the way it is. But I was just like, wow.
I remember, dude, I completely forgot. And we were a wild bunch, though. You think about it, like we were a very together group, but inside, the way we were so competitive.
Yeah.
Man, it's just a special moment, man. You can get us going. So I'm gonna go back to your brawl. So let's go back to your brawl, because you and I will go on and on, man.
Well, no, so
some of these stories are pretty
I'm
cool.
just wondering, is there a guy like and it would be your position, like a defensive back or even another wide receiver? It's like, man, I just want to go. I just want to brawl with this guy. I want to get under his skin. I just want to go like who would be the best, hey, break out the popcorn guy matchup for like Herman Moore when you played?
Oh my God.
I have the quarterback that I want to brawl with. I got the guy.
So if I can, I'll give you a couple angles. So I'll start with the defensive back. I would be considered the bully because I was a bigger guy, like Terrell Buckley. I think it was Florida State, one of the schools. I want to say Florida State. Man, really like Terrell, right? And good guy, but we went at it all the time. And I just hated the fact that we wouldn't just throw high passes, because the guy's not going to defend me in a high pass, but we throw it low and then he'd pick it, or something would happen, right? And I caught a lot of touchdowns, had a lot of success against him. But if I had to fight a defensive back, it would be unfair, because most of them were smaller guys that they tried initially to defend me with, that talked all the time until they got help over the top, or they had to double team, or they had to do something like that. Corey Fuller, who I like a lot. He's funny. He and I used to bring out the competitive piece in me. I want to fight him. Probably Martin Mayhew. I want to fight him for all the PI and pass interference, because every time I beat him on a double route, he just grabbed me or tripped me up or tackled me or something like that. And I'd have like 30 yards for the whole game, but I had like 200 yards in pass interference. And then outside of that, if it was on the other side, here's an interesting piece. A guy I used to, because I didn't understand, and you're young, you're the young guy, you're trying to come in and find your space. I used to always look at Jerry Rice, and I don't know if he would look at me like dismissive or like or something, or what it was. And I admired Jerry, right? I really liked him, but I felt like there was never this real respect that was given from him to me, because I didn't get to know him. He's East Coast. I mean, he's West Coast in San Fran. I'm over here in the mid part of the country, and we don't get anything on TV, and they're winning Super Bowls. He's the greatest of all time, even then, during that time. And I'm just, you just want to belong. You just want to be a part of the group. I'm cool with Chris. I'm cool with Mike Irv. Anthony Miller, guys in the AFC. But some reason it was like this standoffish piece. And I finally got to meet him one time and realized, Jerry's a cool guy. He got to see him, got to talk to him, nothing but respect and cordial. But at the time, I was like, dude, I just want to go out here and just just, roll up on them, just
See,
like, dude.
no, and I mean, how awesome would that be? Like Herman
Nah,
Moore,
it wouldn't be
Jerry
a fair.
Rice, man, it doesn't matter. It's like just the names. It's just like, going at, because see, so like defensively, I don't care. Like I really, like, there's not a defensive player, whatever. It's like, no, those guys didn't really get under my skin. But you talk about this kind of your same peers, right? So I'd go to these events, quarterback club, all this stuff. And the coolest guys were the like Marino. Of course, we were teammates, so he was always good. Like when we played together, he's great. Uh, Joe Montana, Elway, all of them, they're just good dudes, right? They're just really really good guys. Favre was kind of weird, I don't know. Favre was just he's kind of like wrapped up in his own little world. But the guy, and he was nice, he was good. But the one guy, and I always expected him to be, because we could totally relate to each other, was Steve Young. Like it was the same kind. Maybe it's just the 49ers. Maybe they're just a bunch of arrogant, guys. I don't know what it is.
I got along with Steve though. Steve
Yeah.
was cool. It's just,
No,
and
I know,
Jerry was
but
actually, he turned out to be a really good guy. Like I
yeah.
get along with him and got nothing but
Yeah.
respect. But at that time, it's like, dude.
Yeah, and so I think it's this hyper competitive, because see, he's a BYU guy, I'm a Utah guy, big rivalry, left-handed quarterbacks, both Mormons, LDS, all this stuff, and I don't think he wanted people raining in on his parade. He wanted to be kind of the very, and it's like I was kind of raining in on his parade, and he said something to me. He goes, man, when you're going through all that stuff in Detroit, he goes, I just wanted to call you. But I was like, no, you got to go. You got to suffer through it on your own. And I just remember saying, a call from you would have meant the world to me in that time. And I think that really, really surprised him. But there's always just kind of this, edge. In fact, I want to get all of the left-handed, I want to get all the left-handed quarterbacks that I actually like, and I want to get them on the show.
Who are they? I mean, just think about
the ones that I like.
left-handed quarterbacks.
So
like,
there's Steve Young, there's Boomer Esiason, there is Mark Brunell, there's me, Michael Vick, there, and then there's a couple I won't have. So like Jim Zorn, he's not coming on my show.
That's a pretty good group. Oh, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy wanted to throw his passes in practice.
He's not coming on the show. No.
He was serious about pat and go, man, in practice.
Yeah.
I was like,
did I ever tell you that the time of the meeting we had?
Man, you told me, you remember, man. I was your therapist.
Yeah, I know.
You used to come over and you had to tell me about Jimmy Z.
Oh boy. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about it today.
Then I would have to come over to you, man, and basically we didn't have the couch to lay down on and to be able to tell your problems to your therapist. But dude, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to switch gears now. So we'll move on. There's the draft's coming up, and they're nitpicking at players, right? They're all the really good players kind of have a flaw, whether it's their arms are too short, or hasn't played, he only played one season, or he's undersized, as a DB, he's not not quite that prototypical type, or whatever. And it got me thinking about when you because you already had a size advantage on guys. But was there a time when you faced an undersized guy and you go, this guy just really is a problem for me? Like that's that, I guess Terrell Buckley, maybe that's the guy, but was there anyone else, or was he the guy that just really gave you fits? And I don't want to say fits, but just it's like, because we all know that different skill sets, different guy, guys figure out how to play in the league, even if they have those challenges or whatever. And so you always have to respect them. But was there a guy out there that really surprised you how good he was because of his limitations in size?
So there are guys that I faced, and because I brought in a different type of wide receiver, the league actually evolved. and it had to change. So you had your Darryl Greens, you had um, a lot of guys who were smaller but fast.
Yeah.
Then you had those that were kind of a hybrid. They were between 5'10" to 6'1", and they had the physical attributes, they had the size and the speed. Then you had the guys who were 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", that they would try and put over and match up. And those guys were not as nimble, and their footwork wasn't as great, but they were brawlers, and they would just maul you at the line, and they would play more of the press coverage and kind of fight you and try and disrupt you at the line of scrimmage. So the guys that played off were a little bit tougher, even though they were small, because they didn't want to come up and physically get dominated at the line of scrimmage. So they would back them off at about 5 yards. And because they had a speed advantage, they would always just stare at the quarterback. They would read levels, they would read routes, and try and do those things. And they were a little bit more difficult to go against because it disrupted the timing and the confidence of the play call. When you came along, it was we would make some things happen during the course of it and say, we know this person can't stop the play. It's about timing, positioning, ball placement. And it changed me a little bit. Like, I didn't realize how important it was to have the rapport with the quarterback, and that quarterback to have the confidence in you as a receiver. And then you having the ability to have that nonverbal communication with that other party. All that goes into play that you can't put into a playbook. It becomes part of the natural part of the game and relationship between the QB and the wide receiver. And then it kind of makes the defensive back null and void, if you will. I mean, it's
Doesn't matter.
Unless a person has played at that level of rapport with the pass catcher and the quarterback, I don't care what combine you go to. I don't care what draft you go to. I don't care how much film you watch. When you find that combination, they innovate together around that, and they make the playbook work at a whole different level you can't draw up. And that's when I hit my all-pro, Pro Bowl, league leading piece, because it was really the only thing that could stop us was the playbook. And I don't say that in arrogance. I'm saying that in that it became, and how we would laugh about it. It's just it was easy.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel like we were at the apex and the pinnacle of our profession, because it was like a playground.
And not everyone gets that. Not all coaches get that. I mean, it's hard to, some people don't know how to coach that. It's massively confident. I mean, it's nirvana. Like it really is. It's just it is, and I think that's the thing. And I've been in situations where it was hard. Like I often, like, man, y'all making this way too hard. Like, and you're overthinking it. You're actually oversimplifying it. You're not emphasizing the right thing. You're not coaching the right thing here. You're just go, here's the play, run the play, and don't change it. And it's like, no, there's nuance here that's powerful, and it just unlocks everything. And if you don't understand it, it's worthless. And I've been in those situations. It's just not fun to be in. But man, when football is easy, and it's not, but when it becomes easy, that is just powerful. All right, what's the number one attribute? Like if you for a wide receiver. So you're drafting a guy and you go, this is the absolute, this guy, number one most important thing this guy's got to have. Well, he's drinking his drink. Coffee.
No. So I'll say this. So
how much coffee do you think you've drunk in your life? Like when did you start drinking coffee?
Man, probably a farm, like a whole coffee farm. It's
half a Columbia you've drunk.
Gold, man. That's what they call it, liquid gold.
Yeah.
So to your question, right? As far as the greatest attribute, I would have to challenge you to go a little bit deeper with it. In that, is it the physical, mental skill? I don't think there's one attribute that becomes the most important as much as it's attributes within specific categories. So you have to have talent.
Yeah.
You got to be a skillful player. You got to have talent. Yeah. You mentally have to be able to absorb, understand, execute, and apply. Right. You got to be able to take that.
So is talent then the most important thing?
Not really,
I mean,
because you can have all the talent and just up here just be completely just an empty spot. And we've seen those players, right? And we've
right.
seen the players
Yeah.
who are
Yeah.
super smart. They get it. They understand every concept of the game. They slow it down, but they have no ability.
Right.
And then you can have a guy that is fast. He's tall as a wide receiver. He has great vision and all that, and has stone hands, right?
Right. Which is
And then you
weird.
got the guy that can't get off the line of scrimmage because he runs funny and his feet are not good. But man, if you get the ball near him, they there's like fly, like stick them, right? And so I think it comes down to there are a series of attributes you have to have in every skill to be successful. There's attributes you have to have on the physical side, the mental side, the character side, and all those pieces. But if I had to sit there and say, to think about it, if I say, hey, it's vision. Well, what if I have bad hands? I could have all the vision I want in the world, right? So I think it gets down to a combination of attributes per position, even as it relates to coaching. I think if you start to break it down and say, what's the anatomy and the attributes that are needed to build the successful person, or at least having a player or an administrative person or a coach that I can take from wherever they are, instill this information and have them accelerate or go, become better than where they were when they first started. And you constantly see that progression until they hit that pinnacle, and then they level out. And then how long can you sustain that peak of dominance and performance before you start to taper off? Because that's going to happen. That's just pure nature. And so I just don't think I think we get too complicated and complex when it comes to evaluation and determining what that is, as much as fitting people into the role based on purpose.
So you have all this combination of attributes, right? And they're complement, like you said, they're complementary. You have to have, you can't just have one. You can't have one attribute and be a successful wide receiver. But the other debate that I think is interesting this year with the draft, and Fernando Mendoza is kind of part of that. He's not John Elway, he's not Peyton Manning as far as like his physical attributes, his throwing prowess. He's, I don't want to say marginal. He's very effective. He's a very effective player. Very accurate player, understood, it's more about intangibles with him. And so much of the draft isn't about intangibles, but for him, it seems to be that way. It seems to be whether the Raiders are trying to convince themselves of this, or he really has these intangible attributes, but that seems to be the most important thing that Fernando Mendoza has. And that's not typically how players are drafted, but it's probably how they should, right? And everyone goes, yeah, that guy could jump through the gym, or he could do this, or he could do that. He's just extremely athletic. But, he didn't have a heart. He didn't understand. He didn't have an IQ. He didn't understand football. Do you think there's a way? How would you assess intangibles? How do you, to what depths, do you go interview your third grade PE teacher, or, how do you find, what's inside a guy, and that fire, those intangibles, those things that really are probably more important than anything in your success in the NFL?
Now, I don't know if you necessarily can do it based on, here I'm going to run you through a series of a few skill drills just to see your mechanics and all those things. I know that's a combination of game film, footage, interviews, workouts. So there's all this data points, all these different combined, both tangible and intangible things that are brought into play to determine, okay, do we have the right person? What gets missed a lot of times is application by the individual, and the ability for them to take all those things that that they're capable of, all the things that you validated, and then have them be able to consistently apply those to the task, to whatever it is. So you can come in, look how many talented people we've seen come through a draft. And we go, that's the guy, that's the generational talent. And then there could be something as simple as lifestyle that could derail them. It could be something as simple as not having to understand how to handle anger management or conflict resolution. Executive functioning and skill set can destroy a physically talented and capable person, and vice versa. So it's really I won't call it a crapshoot, but you mitigate it by going through all these different processes of evaluations in different environments, and the bowl games and the senior bowl games and the conversations and the mental competency and all these things. So, I think that you really don't know till you know. Right. And we've seen people get off to a great start and then they just fizzle. We see those that get off to a poor start and then they accelerate. I don't think anyone's got kind of it down to a science as much as this is the process and protocol that has been kind of, accepted as being the norm across professional sports and evaluation. And I think until you put people out on the field, until you put them into those environments and say, go, you really don't get to know who they are and what they're going to become and how they're going to respond until they're placed into those situations, especially when you start to level up like that and go from high school to college to pro. And even within the pro level, you start to become a significant contributor or person that's dependent on by your team, your organization, or now you're admonished and admired throughout the NFL or that professional sport. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's different.
So typically players, early on in your career, it's so much more about you rely more on your physical abilities. You're youngest, you're most athletic. You get away with things through that athleticism. And then as you mature in the game, you start understanding the game and you start understanding, start beating people kind of mentally and through the edge and understanding of the game and your development of, your football IQ. Do you recall when those two meshed, where, man, I'm just at an unbelievable spot physically and I just know the game right now, and it's just, how was that early on in your career? Did it ever happen? When did it happen? Did you even recognize that it happened?
Ironically, it happened within probably the first couple of years, and once I started any endeavor or any level, whether it was high school, it took me a year or two before I really started to physically and mentally and confidently really get into my set in terms of who I was and what I was going to become and who I wanted to be. Same thing happened in college. It's a slower start because I'm learning, I'm absorbing, I'm taking in, I'm trying. It's trial and error. I'm building my toolbox. And then once those things click with the rapport with your teammates, with the system, with your confidence level in terms of your purpose and understanding exactly where you go, there's just this clarity that happens. You think about it, when you come in as a young player, you come into any situation, I don't care if it's in work, I don't care if it's as a parent, I don't care if it's a relationship, definitely in your profession, there's a learning curve. There's a leveling up, there's a understanding expectations. It's really understanding the lay of the land. And yet we expect so much in the beginning. And that's why when you see players succeed right out of the gate, it's going to be a matter of time before others catch up to them or they start to level out. It's hard to sustain that over a period of time. Yes, there's some freaks of nature, and there's some people that kind of, it just worked and it leveled out, and you can be derailed by injury, right? And it doesn't have to be major injuries. You could be derailed by system, volatility of the organization that then takes a really, really super talented person and they're stuck basically in hell and purgatory on a team that is basically going nowhere, and they don't have the support system to support those players. So that's why it's weird when we look at what it takes to go from one part of your journey, which is the beginning, and then to be able to see it all the way through to the end in the way you vision it going, in which we all think it's going to have some bumps in the road, but ultimately we all want to be successful. But it's really not determined by you. You can only control what you can control. And even that is in itself is tough. And then think about all the other things you have to control in a team sport and all the things that have to go right for you to succeed as the individual, but also as a team. And that's why I go, when you have anyone who has any type of success, in team sports, it shouldn't be taken for granted. It shouldn't be one of those things where people look at it and like, that guy's not that great. No, till you've done it, you really understand that it's not an easy task. It's
It's
not easy.
probably easier putting someone on the moon than it is winning a championship because we're describing this process of development of a player. And when does it happen and how long does it take to happen? Does a team even recognize that that kind of thing goes on and happens? And is the team putting the player in an environment where they can flourish and develop and grow? And then is the player, is the player got personal issues, or as you talk about criminal record, there's just all these factors that go into and it's not one, it's multiple, and some of them are on the field, some of them are off. And then how do they mesh with all their other teammates and their whole team? And then do you keep everyone completely healthy or healthy enough? Or it's just, there's just so much that goes into it. And then people like panic and they go, oh, we got to get rid of this guy, we got to get rid of that guy. And it's like, did they get rid of him too soon? Did they keep him too long? It's just, it's such an art, and it's so nuanced, and it's just so challenging. And then you can have everything go perfectly, and you just have, you have a field goal doink off of the, the goalpost, and you lose, kind of thing. And it's just the edge, the ability to win is just, man, it's almost like, why the freak are we doing? It's just like, isn't there something else that's like a lot easier? Because it's so hard to reach that common ground with the mass of people you have and succeed. And it's just, and on top of it, we're all freaking competitive and we want to win, and so and you get that involved, you get the offense hates the defense, and the defense, because they, can't you stop anyone, and can't you score, why are you throwing intercept, and that whole chemistry and camaraderie and togetherness, and it's just, it's this massive undertaking, this massive process, which to me is why, the leadership of an organization, the coach, the general manager, the owner, like that stuff is, people that really get it and really understand it are the ones that, that's putting that in place is just paramount. And I don't think everyone really comprehends the depth that you have to go to win, and you can still get it all right and still not win.
There's something that's always bothered me, to a certain degree, has been, you think of it. I started playing football when I was 6 years old, and I never missed a year. And I played all the way through, whether I was playing or not. I was learning. I was taking in. I was, figuring out. You're doing trial and error, and you do all those things. Then you make it all the way to, again, the summit. You get to the professional level. You've gone through collegiate and amateur, and you're there, and you're playing multiple years there. And then there's a coach or an individual that's brought in that's now going to evaluate you and determine what your acumen is and what your abilities are as a player. And this is a position that they may have been a line coach or a tight ends coach, and then they're coming over to coach receivers, or they
Right.
bounced around, and they're now the point of authority in your career. And then we wonder why there's a conflict, because I think it's almost like a slap in the face when someone is telling you they know more than what you've experienced. And it is real on field, in game application of what you're validating, what's been done, whereas they're validating it on paper based on scenarios and circumstances. And that's why I see coaches now winning in the NFL who have the experience and long-term ability of application, not only in now saying, okay, how do I teach these players and be in alignment and conversation and communication in that position? Because I now have also understood that journey and gone through it. People are now coming on to that. It used to be so much. I couldn't tell you how often you're sitting there, you're looking at a guy walking through a route, trying to tell you how to run at full speed, but they're walking it. And then they're doing this hypothetical something that they saw that another player told them from another team that they saw have success. And now they're trying to apply it to you to say, this is what you need to correct and do better. I mean, think about that. And then we're 20 years old. We're trying to make sense of something that makes no sense. And I'll fight anyone at the table and on top of the table when it comes to actually applying those skill sets from just here's what I'm seeing on paper to putting it into actual action. And who are you going to have more confidence in? And so it's good to see that Moore starting to get back into the game, and you're starting to get rid of a lot of the philosophical coaches. But even then, I think there's a room and there's a place for it. But I just don't think sometimes in the skill set and the actual getting down on the field and being on the sideline trying to coach people through scenarios and situations, because I don't think the trust is there as much as people would like to believe, as much as you're just giving them respect because they're the coach.
One of the things that I watched, so being drafted by the Dolphins, and I think free agency plays into this as well, where when how those players learned, like especially like on the offense with the team, it goes back to, Shula coached Raymond Berry and Johnny Unitas with the Colts, right? And so they worked at like all these things we've talked about. If the DB's here, do this, run this route this way. And there was this constant process of how do you get open? How do you succeed? And that offense carried with Shula to the Miami Dolphins. And so now you have Paul Warfield, and you have some of these, these other wide receivers, and it's the same system, and it's the same philosophy. And then that goes into Nat Moore and Jimmy Cephalo, and then it gets transferred to Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. And for decades, this offense, this philosophy, this understanding is real world experience. And like, they all could do it in their sleep because they had been taught so well. And this whole history of this system stayed intact because that's how teams were. Like there was no, you were on a team for a long time. And so I believe a lot of the success that Dan Marino had when he stepped in early on in his career, he stepped into a whole bunch of guys that go, here's how we get open, and they go, just throw it right here. Like, and he goes, well, I can do that, and he could, and it was, and then I think free agency, because you start losing guys and you start losing that continuity, and teams have a strategy and they go, look, we're going to have superstars and we're going to have a bunch of young players because we can pay, 4 rookies the same amount as we could pay a 7-year veteran with the minimum salaries in the NFL. So so you get a lot of guys who don't even understand the game, and you couple that with coaches who don't understand how to coach the game. And I think the product hurts. And I think it's been, somewhat watered down through the ages. And of course the rules changed. And I think that's changed a lot of things, but a lot of teams, a lot of organizations are poorly coached, and they don't ever really fully understand how to be really good at football. And I think a lot of it has to do with free agency, actually.
Yeah. So, I'll end on this one on this subject, but so Charlie Sanders, Hall of Fame tight end coach, my coach, he came in, he says, Herman, when trying to get off the line of scrimmage, because I was told, hey, do these type of things. He says, listen, you're 220 pounds. How big is that guy? I say 6 foot, 190. He says, listen, pick a side and go. Then I had another coach who came in and says, hey, and I would always get open. I'd always lose no mark at the line of scrimmage. Right. And then I had another one that came in that was more philosophical, who hadn't played. It was like, all right, make sure you go 3 steps to the outside, count it, 1, 2, 3. Then you got to swing this arm. You got to come underneath. You got to come back. And I spent so much time trying to learn this footwork and these techniques. I would get jammed. And then he would get mad and go, you got to figure out a way to get off the line. I'm like, why don't I just pick a side and go? All right. And it just worked. So it digressed. I went backwards trying to do this, what worked with like all the receivers could try this. And this is something that you would teach down at the lower level, people trying to learn the position, versus someone that says, listen, man, you got to defeat that guy at the line. I don't care how you get rid of him. You got to clean him up at the line and get into your route, get back into your stem. You need to be at 12 yards. You need to be there at this time. If it's man, run away. If it's zone, you got to find an open spot and sit down and read the simple. Yeah. And it was because it was a guy that played the game, that understood the purpose and the concept of how to get open, why to get open, timing, all these other things that you have to experience, versus on paper, I'm sitting here looking at this going, damn, am I building something here? or am I trying to go out here and just, have success on a play, rinse and repeat, right, and get going?
So it's funny you mentioned just going, right?
Mhm,
And Mark Duper, not a big guy, he's not 220. He'd
mhm.
do that.
Yeah,
And part of why he
so
would do it, not all the time, but he goes, they're expecting me to, so there's this anticipation. And he goes, I could sense a guy that was anticipating that. And if I just took off, he wasn't expecting me just to go, you know?
right,
And so he just, he mixed up kind of, how he set guys up at the line of scrimmage and just messing with them all the time. And that was part of, how there wasn't one process or one footwork or one way to set up a guy, and there were ways to run routes against certain coverage. Like there's certain things that help you give an indication of when the quarterback threw and where to expect, but getting off the line of scrimmage is an art, and
right.
it's different all the time. Okay, so Steve McMichael, Hall of Fame defensive tackle, Chicago Bears, recently passed away. They found out that he did have CTE. I don't think I've ever asked you this. Like, how concerned are you about CTE in your own life and your own experiences? Something you worry about, think about? What are your thoughts?
I'm not really sure. Do I believe that there's a little hint of it in all of us? I think, given the physical part of our sport and the constant banging and hitting that we take, even when you're just falling and you're catching, or someone tackles you and takes you to the ground, you don't realize how much trauma you're putting on your body, and then definitely how much you're putting on to your head and your brain. So I would imagine that there's probably something there, um, because of just the nature of it and how it's been
Yeah.
evaluated in terms of how you get it. And I'd be surprised if a lot of players who definitely have played the sport at a long term and physical, and they played the contact part of it a lot, that there's something there,
Yeah.
100%.
But do you worry about it? Do you just, I mean, do you go,
I worry about it a
man.
little bit, because
Yeah.
I do have cognitive issues every
Yeah.
once in a while. I can get into mood
That's
swings.
because you're old. You just,
No, man. No, man. It's not. Yeah, I mean, I use that when I go, what did you tell me? I forgot.
yeah.
I don't remember.
Did
It
you
does
have your,
it has some advantage. Being
uh,
older does have advantages. One, you can pretty much say everything that you want to
right.
say,
Yeah.
and you're so far along, you're not worried about the damage that's left in the wake as much
Right.
as you stand on business, you stand on principle, you stand on things that are right. You get to a point where it's almost this freedom that takes place. So yeah, I mean, I got some issues there with older age, but I did start to notice a slip years and years ago, and I think there is a cumulative effect of things that will happen. Like, you can hear a person talking, like me or someone, and nothing's wrong, but they don't realize there's time when you're out and you forget words, and you slur maybe just a little bit here or there, or you struggle with some of the most mundane things, and then all of a sudden the next day it's not a big deal. So I will go back and forth with that. So yeah, there's a little bit of a concern, long-term
Yeah. And
care and long-term probabilities.
you
Yeah.
don't know this, but we put a disclaimer on the show when you come on. It's like, hey, just don't take, everything that Herman says as gospel. There's issues going on there with him. So we have a disclaimer when you come
Okay,
on.
that's good to know, because yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
you know,
I have to for like, liability issues, like,
but I deal with you though. But I deal with you. And then
right.
you're mad because I got this coffee. Scott, let me ask you this. By the way, I remember there was this guy, really good friend. I mean, not even a friend. He's family. He's like a brother, that said, I went to Hawaii. I brought you
Oh.
back some Kona coffee.
Ah.
But right now I'm gonna enjoy in this Detroit Tiger mug. I'm
Ooh.
gonna enjoy this wonderful Keurig coffee that I made,
Yeah.
and enjoy this, because I'm sure that Kona coffee from Hawaii is absolutely fantastic. I heard it's very smooth. I heard
Yeah.
it's like the crystal, right, of coffee. But I guess I'll never know
Yeah.
until Scott Mitchell gives it to me.
Yeah.
And
So I, yeah.
coffee it does expire, right?
No, I don't know anything about coffee. See, I feel bad because I got the grounds,
I'm gonna
right?
drink this on your show, and I don't even care. Go ahead and keep
I
talking.
I got the grounds, and you told me, man, you gotta get the beans.
It's
See, I
ground
didn't even.
coffee?
Well, yeah, it's
Man,
like
you might
I
as well go ahead
know.
and put that on the trophy case.
See,
Let me
so
sign the bag for you. I don't even
no,
know if it's still good. You got 30 days on that, man.
oh, really? Oh, it's been more than 30 days. I'll bring it anyways. So
Yeah, you
actually,
do that.
next week I'll be in Detroit.
Why don't you just fly on back out to Hawaii, man, and bring your boy back some more coffee?
I might do that. I absolutely might do that. Um, speaking of coffee, and food, Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes have a high end steakhouse together, right? And it's something 1587, right? So it's their numbers combined. So it's like Steakhouse 57 or 1587. I can't even say it right. Well, it's really 1587. So they got a review that was horrible, and it was from an influencer, and it got like 600,000 likes, and she just ripped on the steakhouse, right? And so I'm like, Patrick Mahomes is famously known for putting ketchup on steak. And I'm like, you have a high-end steakhouse, you're a ketchup eating, steak person, and anyone in their right mind knows you do not put ketchup on a steak. But Herman Moore, do you put ketchup on a steak?
No. It's weird because I was at a steakhouse, I want to say a couple days ago, and someone actually asked me if I wanted ketchup. And I think it was I was getting, I forgot what kind of steak it was. I don't want to say it was a strip
Yeah.
steak or New York strip or filet mignon, but it was, it's like, no, prime rib. That's what it was. I was getting prime rib. And I was like, no, I'm good. Just, it had nice seasoning on it. It was really good the way it was, and brought out ketchup. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, what do you put on yours? I usually just have it in its nice juice that it's already in, and if it's done right, typically you don't really need to add anything to it.
I don't put anything on my steak.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
usually
like
me.
no,
I
it's
may
like
have some zip every once in a while, depending on if it's a steakhouse that has a good zip sauce. I will do a zip.
now there's a style like they do Oscar style, which is like the crab meat kind of.
Right.
Sometimes a béarnaise sauce is pretty good,
Mhm.
but typically now I'm like, it's the flavor of the meat with salt and pepper. That's all it is. It's amazing.
That's it.
That's all you got to do.
What's your favorite cut?
So I'm a ribeye guy.
Okay.
So I like ribeyes because they're just to me the most flavorful, and that's what I like. So a strip steak, New York strip. Typically they're too lean, so a lot of times they're too dry. There's not a lot of flavor in them. And when Shula had his steakhouse, we stayed at his resort. That's where the night before a game we stayed, and so we would have these steaks, and it was the best strip steak I've ever had was at Shula Steakhouse, and but there I've just never found them that are that good that aren't there. So, but that typically is my favorite. You're a filet guy, aren't you?
I'm a filet
Yeah.
person, but
You eat a filet and
I
drink
like
your
I like
coffee,
the I like
don't
the New York strip, man, bone in. Like
you?
those are pretty
Yeah.
good. Like the flavor closer to the bone. You know
Yeah.
what I've been eating lately, and I tried was lamb chop. I like the
Yeah.
lamb chops.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
but I like them a little charred though because
Oh.
when you get that little char on it, and not to where it's overdone or anything like that, but you get a little bit more, charred on near the bone and stuff. Man, it's got a nice little flavor profile.
The
It's
probably
lean, very lean.
my favorite food in the whole world is leg of lamb.
Mm.
Slow cooked in a red wine sauce. Whoa, there's nothing better. I'm just telling you, nothing better.
Take a wine sauce, but no wine, huh?
No, that's what wine's for, is to cook. It's like that's what you do with wine. What else is there to do? Okay, so I got pulled over Easter. So I had to run to the store, and I didn't want to, and it was a hardware store. I had a breakdown at my house, and I had to fix something. So I'm cruising down the street, and the guy pulls me over. 40 miles an hour, and we're going 54. What is the fastest that you have been you've gotten a ticket and been pulled over for? Because I know you drive fast.
The fastest, I would say probably a 90 and a 65, but it was only highway. So just so everybody knows, not residential. I wasn't doing anything like egregious. It was, you know how you're in a car and just never, and people know this, and it's true. If you're in a car that has really good suspension, the noise level is very minimal on the inside and it's smooth, you can get up to 90, 95 miles an hour easily and not feel like you're going very fast. And it was just because I was not paying attention to my speed, wide open road, and it was more rural and flat. So they could see you 2 miles away. So he was tracking me the whole way. So I couldn't say, hey, I was coming downhill and I just didn't realize my speed, or I was trying to accelerate around another car or anything like that. I was just cruising, and he pulled me over and he said, you're at reckless driving, because I think it's 20 over when you get reckless. And he took it down because it was pretty barren and empty, highway. So I mean, that was probably the fastest, but nothing ever reckless in an area or doing some distracted stuff.
So what's the fastest you've driven on the road?
150.
150.
150.
That's fast.
Yeah, I've been probably 130 or 40 on a motorcycle. I used to have a Hayabusa. And I got rid of all the exotics. I got rid of all the sports cars because I can say this, and I can be honest. I wasn't responsible, with that speed and that power. And I felt that it was, if I couldn't control myself and understand, like, just because this is an exotic car, just because this thing can go 150, 200 miles an hour, that's not it. There's laws, there's rules. So I said, you know what? I guess I'm a habitual rule breaker or line crosser. So I'm going to get rid of these. So I got rid of them.
But how like, if you have a car that drives that fast, you should be able to drive that. Like it's
not the Autobahn, man.
I know, but I can't fault a person who has a fast, like, let me get this really fast car. It's designed to go fast, and I'll just drive in second gear all the time. Like, that makes no sense. I commend you for whatever you did, but man, if I had those, I'd drive fast in them. I just would.
Yeah, until you see an accident. And I saw a motorcycle accident coming home one night.
I won't get on.
And I realized that could have been me, right? And I was driving my Hayabusa one time, and I was going about 130, and I hit a little rock. And anyone who's ever been on a motorcycle, it's unforgiving. And this was in Michigan. You could, it's optional with the helmet and all the padded up and all that stuff. I just had on some cut off shorts, some flip flops or sandals or whatever, and cut off sleeve shirt, summertime, and my helmet rolling. And hit a little pebble, and the wheel started wobbling on the front, and it took me a minute to get it back under control, and I just felt my life kind of flash, right? I was like, done with that. And then I had a nice sports car, a few of those, and I would get out, and every time I get on the road, man, I just really wanted to get into fifth gear. Like, I really wanted to get in sixth gear. I wanted to really check the pedal shifts and all that stuff. And it's just, at some point, you just realize, it's cool to enjoy. It was more of a cool to have than need to have. And so now in my life, I do more things that I enjoy, and that I can, it's a different, like I said, when you get older, you can call me, there's those cognitive pieces we talk about, but I really appreciate the simplicity of life, and I get away from the complexity, even in relationships, everything. Like, I don't care if it's complicated and there's a lot of work in there and all this other stuff, I'm not doing it.
105 is as fast as I've gone, and only because there's a governor.
A bicycle?
No, there's a governor on my truck. I have a Ford F-150 truck, and which I love, and I do, man. It's the best vehicle I've ever had, and it has a governor, which I found because I wanted to see how fast it went. I was out in the desert and in Nevada, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see what this thing can do. And I thought, because it's got a lot of power. This truck can go. And I got up to 105, and I'm like floored, and I'm like, why isn't it go? And I was like, oh man, and I was disappointed. I was like, and they said, no, that's as fast as this will go. So
trucks are dangerous too.
Well,
if you don't have a lot of weight on the back end, Fishtail that baby, man.
Maybe that's why they only let it go that fast. And
Plus, too, they don't want people like you, man, in there doing all that stuff. You just don't know how to be responsible. Can't let you do anything. Can't let you just.
I would go.
If you had a motorcycle, you'd be more of a bagger type motorcycle guy. I have baggers.
Just so you know, I wrecked on a motorcycle. I was 15 years old, never been on one. I get the rock, the whole thing. And I'm like, no, thank you. You'll never see me on a motorcycle ever.
I like the adrenaline rush. You're an adrenaline guy?
No, I'm really not. In fact, I found that I'm even kind of afraid of heights. Like heights freaks me out. Like, and I'll watch these stupid videos, where they do they have the flying suit, they jump off the mountain, and and I'll watch it and I'm like, why am I doing? And it gives me this massive anxiety when I watch it. And of course, now that I do that, they show up on my feed all the time. The other one is I was watching these guys rock climb, like El Capitan, the Half Dome or whatever. And they're on this ledge, 3,000 feet. And it's just like this tiny 3-inch ledge. And I'm just like, why? Why would you want to do it? No, I don't want to jump out of an airplane. I don't want to do it. I would freak out. I would sit in the corner and probably cry like a baby if I had to jump out of an airplane. I don't think I could do it. I'm telling you.
A QB1. I was going to roll with me a couple places, man, but I got to be careful, man. I just got to make sure that there are contingency plans, and I have to vet you a little bit deeper, man.
Well, here's the thing.
Whether or not I can have you roll with me. I can let you roll. Hold on, let me tell you something. I would not be able to let you roll up with me at the Waffle House.
What is the Waffle House?
Man. Can't be playing around over at the Waffle House. You got to back into the space.
Now,
anybody that understands this, I don't know how big this audience is and the people that are watching this. If you understand this, and once you see this and you want to leave a comment, help Scott understand why I say, I don't know if I roll with Scott out with me to the Waffle House because of his anxiety and all these other things he's got going on. And I also mentioned I would back into my space. If you understand that whole concept there, put it in the comments. That's educate Mr. Mitchell on why you don't pull into the spots at the Waffle House, especially if you go in there late at night, dude. You no. I got you, youngin. I got you.
Right. I follow you. I get it. All right, Herman, go get in your car. Drive fast. Don't get a ticket. Always good to chat. We'll catch up with you soon. And thanks.
Always appreciate you, brother.
You got it. All right, there you have it. That's been the Down and Dirty today. Scott Mitchell here. Thank you, Zach Martin, for all your help. Folks, have a great Wednesday. Until then, we'll see you then.